This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
A very different Oval Office meeting this time with President Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy as the Ukrainian and European leaders visit the White House. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
President Trump teases an executive order surrounding mail-in ballots.
Because they're corrupt.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Officials say a federal agent fired a weapon during an immigration stop in Southern California after being hit by a vehicle. I'm Ed Donahue.
Democratic attorneys general from 20 states and Washington asking a federal judge to stop the DOJ from withholding funds for crime victims. Julie Walker, New York.
Stocks are coming off a quiet, lackluster trading day as investors wait to hear whether the Fed might cut interest rates next month. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Health officials in Texas have declared that the state's measles outbreak is over. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
All ahead on America in the Morning. President Trump welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy as well as top European leaders to the White House for a discussion on a path to ending the war in Ukraine. John Stolnis has more on a much different meeting this time around between Trump and Zelenskyy.
We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made.
Thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war.
A very different tone compared to last February's contentious Oval Office meeting between Trump and Zelenskyy, the Ukrainian leader and the president warmly engaging with each other 3 days after Trump's summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska. President Trump called their discussions a very good early step to potentially ending the conflict in Ukraine.
We're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
The president indicating a trilateral meeting between himself, Zelenskyy, and Putin could be next, with Trump saying he talked to Putin shortly after his meeting with Zelenskyy and the European leaders. Zelenskyy also thanked First Lady Melania Trump for a letter she sent to Putin urging the return of kidnapped Ukrainian children.
Many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children.
Following his meeting with Zelenskyy, the president met with top European leaders and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who praised Trump for his efforts to end the conflict.
I think if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to stop the killing. We have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz telling the president the next steps ahead are the more complicated ones.
The path is open. You opened it last Friday. But now the way is open for complicated negotiations. And to be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire, the latest from the next meeting on.
European leaders like British Prime Minister Keir Starmer stressing the U.S. must be involved in security guarantees.
And when we talk about security, we're talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue.
The president says U.S. coordination and involvement in maintaining Ukrainian security will be a part of any deal. Zelenskyy called the day an important step and a demonstration of genuine unity between Europe and the U.S. John Stolnis, Washington.
Years after protesting his 2020 presidential election loss over claims of election fraud, President Trump is promising an executive order surrounding mail-in ballots. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Well, speaking with reporters in the Oval Office, President Trump was asked about a conversation he said on social media that he had last week with Russian President Vladimir Putin about mail-in ballots in elections.
You can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots.
He said he plans to roll out an executive order that's currently being written by who he called the best lawyers in the United States.
To end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt.
The president insisted that he wants to ban mail-in voting as well as voting machines and that he strongly prefers paper ballots in American elections.
It's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night.
He said it's about election security and election integrity.
You will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things, and now the new thing is they love crime.
President Trump has blamed voting by mail for his 2020 election loss to former President Joe Biden and has suggested that it may not be an option in next year's midterm elections. I'm Clayton Neville.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. It's the biggest sale of the year. All beds are on sale. Limited time, only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com. When we return on America in the Morning, nearly 24 states suing the Department of Justice. After these messages. You're with America in the Morning. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Hurricane Erin continues to move through the western Atlantic this morning and will continue northward east of the Bahamas before continuing along the eastern seaboard through the rest of the week. The system is going to make its closest approach to North Carolina, where some of the outer bands from the storm could reach inland. Even in areas where direct impacts are not expected, there can still be significant surf and rip currents for beaches all along the coastline. Meanwhile, a storm system will continue eastward today through the Great Lakes and build southward into the Ohio Valley. A few of the storms will produce heavy, drenching rainfall and some stronger wind gusts, especially in the afternoon and evening. There will also be a few storms developing in the Central Plains from South Dakota into Nebraska and eastern Kansas today, and more scattered afternoon activity farther to the south into Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Any thunderstorm that does develop in some of these southern areas will provide relief to the steamy air in place. Most of the highs in these areas will be in the 90s, with several locations topping out at over 100 or even 105. It is also going to be quite hot across portions of Montana into the Dakotas, with many highs in the 90s and 100s. Some records are likely to be broken. And the rest of the West will be largely dry as well, with a few scattered afternoon thunderstorms over Colorado as well as northern New Mexico. There will be a good deal of sunshine for most, with highs still in the 80s and 90s in northern areas around Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and some 100s and even 110s in the southwest. It'll be a little bit cooler at the coast. That's the weather across America. Little Rock, Arkansas will be hot today with sunshine, a few clouds, and an afternoon thunderstorm, and a high of 101. Detroit, Michigan will have more clouds, some showers, and a heavier thunderstorm with a high of 79. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. California authorities are investigating after a federal agent fired his weapon at a vehicle after the driver refused his order at a traffic stop. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Officials say a federal agent fired a weapon during an immigration stop in Southern California after being hit by a vehicle. Agents from the Department of Homeland Security, wearing masks, were conducting a targeted enforcement operation in San Bernardino County.
What do you want? What do you want? Identification.
No details were given about why they were targeting the unidentified man. The driver's son and son-in-law, who were in the vehicle, provided video. The officers smashed windows on both sides.
Hey, you can't do that!
He immediately drives away. 3 shots can be heard in the video. It does not show either officer being struck by the vehicle. The driver called San Bernardino police and reported masked men had pulled him over. Police did not arrest him. They can't assist in immigration enforcement. Homeland Security is seeking to arrest the man. I'm Ed Donahue.
Attorneys general, including from California and New Jersey, are among 20 states that have filed a lawsuit against the Department of Justice. Correspondent Julie Walker has details.
A coalition of Democratic attorneys general from 20 states and Washington asking a federal judge to stop the DOJ from withholding funds for crime victims if states don't cooperate with the Trump administration's immigration enforcement efforts. California AG Rob Bonta.
The Trump administration is trying to leverage vulnerable people to force states to capitulate with its immigration agenda.
New Jersey AG Matt Platkin.
A president, an attorney general, using victims of crime, victims of violent crime, victims of domestic violence and sexual violence and gun violence as political pawns. These people did not ask for this status. as a crime victim.
The lawsuit filed in Rhode Island federal court argues the conditions overstep authority and interfere with policies ensuring victims can report crimes without fear of deportation. Julie Walker, New York.
Pre-tariff autos disappearing from dealer lots when America in the Morning continues after these messages. A so-so day for investors as the week opened on Wall Street. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with the Tuesday report.
Wall Street opens this morning after a lackluster day of trading for the markets yesterday. They were mixed. Investors are on hold for retail earnings reports coming this week, and the Fed Chair Jay Powell speaks at Jackson Hole on Friday. Investors are hoping he'll hint that interest rate cuts are coming. The markets are pricing in about an 85% chance of an interest rate cut at the September meeting. One economist says a recession is absolutely possible, and it'll be the labor market that takes the economy down.
I think recession risks are really high. The key here is jobs. And of course, with the recent data, we see job growth has come to a virtual standstill. And I don't see any reason why we'll see any pickup here anytime soon. So, if we start getting some negative job numbers, which I think are really very possible, that would be a clear indication of recession.
Moody's Analytics economist Mark Zandi on CNBC. The insurance industry on alert again today. Hurricane Erin forecast to create dangerous surf, high winds, and coastal flooding along the eastern seaboard this week. It is not forecast to make U.S. landfall. Tariffs are hitting new car buyers as pre-tariff cars disappear from dealer lots.
The MSRP, the suggested retail price, that's up 2.4% year over year, according to Kelley Blue Book. But what we actually pay is up just 1.5%, creeping higher. The average incentive is now about 7% of the average transaction price, just over $3,500. And the expectation, again, is that we will see these prices continue to edge a little bit higher. Automakers are eating a lot of the tariff costs, but they're not eating all of it. And the expectation is that we will see them start to pass along a little bit more of this to the consumer.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Home builders are feeling worse about the single-family new home sales business. They cut prices and offered more incentives this past month to sell those new construction homes.
The builders pointed to elevated mortgage rates, weak buyer traffic, and ongoing supply-side challenges. Mortgage rates, though, actually came down nearly a quarter point from the end of July to the first few weeks of August. But that clearly didn't help much. Now, 37% of builders reported cutting prices in August. That's down from 38% in July, but it's been at 37 or 38 for the past 3 months. The average price reduction, 5%. It's the same it's been every month since last November. The use of sales incentives was 66% in August, up from 62% in July, and that is the highest percentage in the post-COVID period. So again, the builders relying on those incentives.
CNBC's Diana Olick. On today's watch list, we do get earnings from Home Depot. KFC brings back potato wedges today after 5 years. And U.S. Open tennis begins today in New York.
There's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. Among the stories we're covering next, guilty plea in the actor Matthew Perry case and containing the measles outbreak. That and more when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Missouri's top law enforcement officer is heading to the FBI. Fox News is reporting that current Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey will become the deputy director of the Bureau and will serve alongside Deputy Director Dan Bongino. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel made the announcement. As AG in Missouri, Bailey launched an anti-human trafficking task force, and his office reported a 133% increase in trial court-level criminal prosecutions. There's been another guilty plea in the case surrounding the death of actor Matthew Perry. Correspondent Haya Panjwani has details about the suspect known as the Ketamine Queen.
The ketamine queen, accused of selling a fatal dose to Friends star Matthew Perry, has agreed to plead guilty. Jasveen Sangha has become the fifth and final defendant charged in the overdose death of Perry to strike a plea agreement with federal prosecutors. The deal means the 42-year-old who supplied Perry with the ketamine that killed him will avoid a trial that had been planned for September. Prosecutors cast Sangha as a prolific drug dealer who was known to her customers as the ketamine queen. According to court documents, she sold Perry 25 vials of ketamine 4 days before his death from an overdose of the drug. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Update out of the Lone Star State on the Texas measles outbreak. Here's correspondent Lisa Dwyer.
Health officials in Texas have declared that the state's measles outbreak is over. State health data shows that the last related case in Texas was reported on July 1st. The virus sickened 762 people since late January. Nearly 100 were hospitalized and 2 children died. Cases jumped to other states in the United States and were linked to outbreaks in Canada and Mexico. While Texas health officials will keep monitoring for new cases, they credit testing, vaccination, monitoring, and education with helping to end the outbreak. Measles is preventable by getting vaccinated. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, recap of the Donald Trump Volodomir Zelenskyy Oval Office meeting and East Coast braces for Erin.
Tens of thousands of visas have been revoked under the Trump administration in a matter of months. I'm Clayton Neville.
Hamas says it's accepted a new proposal from Arab mediators for a ceasefire in Gaza. I'm Haya Panjwani.
2 Utah police officers gunned down.
Oh, I hear them smashing windows.
I'm Bob Brown.
Democrats in Texas ended a 2-week walkout that stalled Republican efforts to redraw congressional districts. I'm Ed Donahue.
What the skibbity is happening to the English language? I'm Lawrence Brooks.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning, Hurricane Watch with AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Hurricane Erin continues to move northward east of the Bahamas today and then along the eastern seaboard through the rest of the week. The system will make its closest approach to North Carolina, where some of the outer bands from the storm will reach inland. Even in areas where direct impacts are not anticipated, there will be significant surf and rip currents for beaches all along the coastline. Back over land, there'll be a few thunderstorms developing in the Central Plains states from South Dakota into Nebraska and eastern Kansas today, with more scattered afternoon thunderstorms farther to the south into Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Any thunderstorm that does develop will provide some relief to the area with steamy air in place. Highs will be in the 90s with several locations topping out at over 100, even 105. It's also going to be quite hot across portions of Montana into the Dakotas, while many highs in the 90s and 100s. Some records are likely to be broken. The rest of the West will be largely dry with a few scattered afternoon thunderstorms over Colorado as well as northern New Mexico. And there'll be a good deal of sunshine for most with highs still in the 80s and 90s in northern areas around Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and 100s and 110s in the southwest. Of course, it is going to be a little bit cooler at the coast. Meanwhile, a more organized system will be moving eastward through the Great Lakes and build southward into the Ohio Valley. A few of these storms will be heavy with drenching rainfall and some stronger wind gusts, especially this afternoon and evening. And a lingering front along the east coast from Delaware and Maryland southward to North and South Carolina will cause a few showers with a thunderstorm or two to the west along the same boundary into northern Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. To the north of that, it's going to be more comfortable through the northeast with highs mostly in the 70s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
You can follow our show wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The second meeting this year at the White House between President Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy went far different from the first. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports on the talks in Washington that also included European leaders that could pave the way to President Trump sitting down in a trilateral meeting, including the president of Ukraine and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
President Trump and Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelenskyy have held extraordinary talks with European leaders, ones they hope set up a meeting with another leader. Both say that could lead to a three-way meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin on ending the war in Ukraine.
And I have a feeling you and President Putin are going to work something out.
Zelenskyy says he's in favor.
We supported the idea of the United States, of personally of President Trump, to stop this war, to make a diplomatic way of finishing this war. And we are ready for trilateral, as President said. This is a good signal about trilateral. I think this is very good.
The men met separately in the Oval Office before talks with several European leaders who came to the White House to back Zelenskyy. The president told them he'd support security guarantees for Kyiv.
The fact that you have said, I'm willing to participate in the security guarantees is a big step. It's really a breakthrough, and it makes all the difference.
NATO's Mark Rutte says there's obvious progress towards stopping the fighting.
If we play this well, we could end this.
The Oval Office chat between President Trump and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy had a far friendlier tone than the last time they met.
It's an honor to have the president of Ukraine with us.
Thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war.
It was far different in February.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Today.
Which side has the better cards?
Well, I don't want to say that.
Last time.
Have you said thank you once?
Today, Vice President Vance stayed quiet. There was even a flashback to Zelenskyy's casual outfit in February.
Do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting the dignity of this office.
Today.
You look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said the one that attacked you last time. See, now he's in.
I remember that.
Zelenskyy had his own zinger.
Zelenskyy in the same suit.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Back now to a Category 4 storm lurking in the Atlantic Ocean. Hurricane Erin. Correspondent Julie Walker reports that while the forecast track for Erin will keep it away from a U.S. landfall, beaches from Florida to Maine are preparing for higher than normal waves and dangerous rip currents, and parts of North Carolina's Outer Banks are facing evacuations.
The East Coast can experience some high surf and rip current conditions spreading from Florida northward as we move throughout the week. Erin's going to produce dangerous swells and surf. And rip currents are one of the leading causes of death. The East Coast is not going to be directly impacted from the storm, but venturing out into the ocean will be dangerous with the rip currents that Erin will produce.
Hurricane Erin re-intensifying to a Category 4 storm with 130-mile-per-hour winds and rain as it pelts parts of the Caribbean before it's forecast to create life-threatening surf and rip currents along the east coast of the U.S. later in the week, says the National Hurricane Center's Dave Roberts.
It's still going to be a Category 4. We're not expecting a Category 5, but, I mean, there's still some possibility. Rainfall is a concern, but the tropical storm force winds, the rip currents, the heavy surf, that's going to certainly be a concern, as well as storm surge.
But he says it will intensify.
Possibly another 10 or 15 knots stronger, but again, it's in the short term.
In the Outer Banks, where Hurricane Erin is forecast to hit the hardest, residents are preparing.
We're usually here because, like I said, we do feel that duty to our community to be here for the cleanup and as soon as things start to happen again, to be available for them. Now, I have a couple of our staff members have already evacuated, and a couple have already said, I'm not going anywhere. So we're just sort of feeling all that out.
Angela Tawes, a co-owner of Connor's Supermarket.
I know that some of the gas stations had runs.
She's in Buxton, North Carolina, on a strip of land wedged between the Atlantic Ocean and the Sound.
One road off, one road on, sometimes, which is kind of the joke here. Like, yeah. As long as that road's open, you can get here just fine.
Tawes says some staff aren't waiting and have already evacuated. I'm Julie Walker.
A new report shows the U.S. State Department pulled thousands of visas as part of a crackdown under the Trump administration. Correspondent Clayton Neville explains.
The report by Fox News Digital says that roughly 6,000 student visas were revoked because of things like visa overstays or run-ins with police. Secretary of State Marco Rubio hasn't shied away from the crackdown.
We have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country.
So it's just that simple.
He spoke about the department's efforts months ago.
If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa.
A statement from the State Department in response to the report published this week said that every single student visa revoked under the Trump administration has happened because the person either broke the law or expressed support for terrorism while in the United States. About 4,000 visas alone have been revoked because of records of assault and DUIs. The State Department told Fox News Digital that about 40,000 visas total have been pulled this year alone. That compares to 16,000 that were revoked during the same time frame under the Biden administration. I'm Clayton Neville.
When we return on America in the Morning, California gears up for its own redistricting fight. After these messages. After Egypt and Qatar met with Hamas, the terror group has agreed to a U.S.-backed proposal for a limited hostage release in return for Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences in Israeli jails and a temporary ceasefire in Gaza. A closer look now from correspondent Haya Panjwani.
Hamas says it's accepted a new proposal from Arab mediators for a ceasefire in Gaza. That's as the Palestinian death toll passes 62,000 people. Israel still needs to approve the proposal, and it says its positions haven't changed. 22 months into the war, Israel has announced plans to reoccupy Gaza City and other heavily populated areas after ceasefire talks appeared to break down last month. Those plans have sparked international outrage and have frustrated Israelis who fear for the remaining hostages from the 2023 attack that sparked the war. A widened military offensive will also worsen the humanitarian crisis. I'm Haya Panjwani.
2 Utah police officers were shot and killed by a man who was barricaded in his home with a high-powered rifle. Correspondent Bob Brown has details.
The deadly shootings happened in the city of Tree Mountain. Detective Crystal Beck with the Brigham City Police Department says the gunman opened fire as the 2 officers arrived on scene.
Upon arrival, they immediately began taking fire. They requested additional units and then stopped answering their radio.
KSL TV speaking with the man who recorded video of the shooter breaking the window.
Oh, I hear him smashing windows.
Tyson Taylor, a neighbor, says one of the officers approached him. He heard what turned out to be gunshots.
He was just on the corner, and I said, hey, I heard some fireworks, or it sounded like fireworks. He told me, no, your neighbor on the corner is shooting his guns, and it's an active shooter right now. He says you need to go home and get in your home.
A third officer and a canine were also shot. That officer reportedly released from the hospital. The canine is being held by the veterinarian as a precaution. 33-year-old Ryan Michael Bate was arrested on 2 counts of aggravated murder, 1 count of attempted aggravated murder, and 1 count of assault. The 2 officers are identified as 56-year-old Lee Sorensen and 31-year-old Eric Estrada. I'm Bob Brown.
Democrats return to Texas to fight redistricting in the legislature, which comes as California is gearing up to launch their own redistricting battle. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Democrats in Texas ended a 2-week walkout that stalled Republican efforts to redraw congressional districts. The return of lawmakers to the Texas Capitol included escorts by state police so they don't bolt again. They received a loud greeting.
When they come for you, what do we do?
President Trump wants to reshape the districts to favor Republicans in the midterms.
We are done waiting. We have a quorum. Now is the time for action.
House Speaker Dustin Burrows did not mention redistricting on the floor.
We'll move quickly, and the schedule will be demanding until our work is complete.
Burrows had previously issued civil arrest warrants for the absent lawmakers under House rules. And if any Democrats are absent for Wednesday's next session,
civil arrest warrants remain in force.
Democrats say they will challenge the redistricting in Texas in court. I'm Ed Donahue.
Both the name and the peacock will be leaving. MSNBC announced it'll be changing its name and ending the use of the NBC logo. The left-leaning cable network will rebrand as My Source News Opinion World, or MS Now. The shift is part of an effort to distance the network from its NBC heritage as they prepare for the planned spin-off from the Comcast-owned media company NBC Universal. NBC President Rebecca Cutler released a statement saying the network will not change editorial direction as it builds out its own news-gathering operation entirely separate from NBC News. MSNBC launched in 1996 as a joint venture between NBC News and Microsoft. America in the Morning continues. A study shows that using AI to draft your professional emails might be eroding your trust with your readers. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
A University of Florida study surveyed 1,100 workers and found that while AI makes managers' emails look professional, heavy use, like crafting the entire message, makes the employees roll their eyes. Many workers can spot AI's robotic vibe and think it screams laziness or lack of care. Only 40 to 52% see their bosses as being sincere when AI is heavily involved, compared to 83% for light edits like grammar fixes or spelling mistakes. Study researcher Anthony Coleman said there's a tension between message quality and sender's perception. When a boss sends a congratulatory email or birthday wish that's crafted by AI, employees actually question their leadership. Pro tip: stick to AI for routine memos, but not personal messages that need some empathy. For more, find me at chuckpalm.com.
Robert Workman is in on America in the Morning with a check of Tuesday sports.
We're into the final 6 weeks of the baseball season. The Brewers blanked the Cubs yesterday 7-0. Freddie Peralta and the Flintstones tossing a two-hitter.
I think that we are in the spot that we need to be. We're hungry to keep winning games and play the game in the right way.
Milwaukee now 32-5 since the All-Star break, 8 games ahead of Chicago in the NL Central. The scheduled nightcap of their split doubleheader was rained out, so they'll try it again today and tonight. Tigers shut out the Astros 10-0 in a matchup of AL division leaders. Jack Flaherty and the Flares scattered 5 hits, backed up by 4 home runs. Phillies torpedoed the Mariners 12-7. Bryce Harper had 2 of their 4 dingers. Trey Turner went deep among his 4 hits. He drove in 5. Cardinals snapped a 5-game skid with an 8-3 win over the Marlins. Rockies rallied past the Dodgers 4-3 for their 4th win in a row. Royals trimmed the Rangers 4-3. Pirates bounced the Blue Jays 5-2. Orioles ripped the Red Sox 6-3. Gunnar Henderson with a homer and an RBI triple. The Reds led off 3 different innings with triples in a 4-1 win over the Angels. White Sox jumped ahead early, then held off the Braves 13-9. Guardians downed the Diamondbacks 3-1, and the Giants edged the Padres 4-3. NFL preseason week 2 wrapped up with the Bengals zipping past the Commanders 31-17. 3 second-quarter TD passes, one by Joe Burrow, the other 2 from Jake Browning to Mitchell Tinsley. Final week of preseason games comes up Thursday through Saturday. Opening night is less than 3 weeks away. September 4th, the Cowboys at the Super Bowl champion Eagles. That's Tuesday Sports.
Inspo, tradwife, Luke, and over 6,000 more words added to the dictionary. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. It's turning into the great late-night debate. Kevin Carr reports that TV's Jimmy Kimmel is not buying the idea that fellow show host Stephen Colbert was losing money for CBS.
Jimmy Kimmel is currently on his annual summer vacation until September, leaving guest hosts to fill his shoes. Before he left in June, he had this message.
If Donald Trump does anything monumentally crazy, anything that requires an emergency response, I will be in a canoe ignoring it.
It turns out he is not ignoring things, and he's not keeping silent either. Last week, Kimmel was a guest on Sarah Silverman's podcast, and he talked about seeking Italian citizenship in response to President Trump.
I did get Italian citizenship.
You do?
I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I do have that. And what's going on is as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Way worse.
It's so much worse.
Kimmel is not the first celebrity to consider moving to another country for political reasons. Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi moved to the United Kingdom in November. And well-known Trump target Rosie O'Donnell moved to Ireland following the California wildfires in January. Most recently, Kimmel spoke about the cancellation of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. In an interview with Variety, he claimed the idea the show was losing $40 million a year, quote, beyond nonsensical. He explained creative accounting in media, saying advertising dollars are only one part, with affiliate fees bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars a year. He also questioned viewership stats. While fewer people are watching the shows live, delayed viewing of monologues and segments regularly reach several million views. I'm Kevin Carr.
A number of trendy words, many of which are used on social media, are being added to the Cambridge Dictionary. Correspondent Lawrence Brooks has some of the new 6,000 words making the list.
What the skibbity is happening to the English language? Skibbity is one of the slang terms made popular by social media that are among more than 6,000 words added this year to the Cambridge Dictionary. Another planned addition is tradwife, a contraction of traditional wife, referring to a married mother who cooks, cleans and posts on social media. And delulu, a shortening of the word delusional that means believing things that are not real or true, usually because you choose to. And honestly, you'd be forgiven for feeling a bit delulu about skibbity, a gibberish term coined by the creator of an animated YouTube series that can mean cool or bad or be used with no real meaning as a joke. An increase in remote working since the pandemic has created the new dictionary entry Mouse Jiggler, a device or piece of software used to make it seem like you're working when you're really just binge watching Netflix. One thing's for sure, the English language is skibbitying in ways no one saw coming. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.